Okay, I think you know the drill. Solving the equation. Look, oh, we got a good one this time to start with. How many answers? I see 3 that there would be because x is to the 3rd power. You can think of, oh crap, this one, or you could think, good, we get it out of the way early. That's where you go, okay? What method? Well, obviously you got an x second and x first. You're going to have to do the set boxes, not that, okay? Most of them are set boxes, okay? Okay, so we're set. That's good. Now you have 4 terms starting out with 4. So we go grouping DOPS. I didn't give you a lot of room because the directions took up some space. So it's grouping box is going to be a tight fit. So grouping, that's what this is called, factor by grouping. So I line up just what it says, the parentheses plus each other. And then with the lines outside. And then a big giant line with parentheses. And put a smaller parentheses there because that's your first F1. Now, after that, I create a DOPS box. Try to put it down here because it comes from there is where you're looking at. Okay, and then away I go. I got 1x to the 3rd plus 6x to the power of 2. I've got negative 9x minus 54. Okay, then you need to check to know what you divide by. That's your little clue, okay? There's 3 things you got to analyze. Don't need the negative here, but I need it here. X, I'm going to need it here to the 2nd power. Can't do it here because 54 doesn't have it. Then you go to your GCF calculator. I'll dial that up real quick. Okay, so it's 1. Well, you know the first one's 1 because 1's in there. Okay. And then we dial up 9 and 54. It's 9. Okay, I'm just showing you my thought process, how you should be doing it. You should go 9. Okay, so the 1x to the 2nd is out here, okay, because that's what I have under the lines. And then, see that? Put your negative 9 right there. Now, these need to end up hopefully the same. So 1 divided by 1 is 1, duh. 3 minus 2 is x to the 1st. Okay, 6 divided by 1 is 6, and that won't be an x because those are both the same power. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1x. Negative 54, and that you need to divide that as negative 54 by negative 9, and that's 6, plus 6. Okay, now take a marker and highlight this. Look at those things. They're identical. If you get rid of the first power, they are, okay? So I'm going to put the 1x plus 6 there, and he's my F1. And outside we have 1x to the 2nd minus 9. Okay, DOPS, remember the rule for that. Your x second has to be there. It is. It has to be to the x to the 2nd to break it, to write it as x times x. Okay, now 1's always a perfect square because it's 1 times 1. And then 9 can be broke down as 3 times 3. Got to be the same factor though. Okay, and now you're done factoring. You have F2, F3, and carry that down, 1x plus 6. Okay. So 1x plus 6 equals 0. 1x plus 3 equals 0. 1x minus 3 equals 0. Okay. Minus 6, that's negative 6. Minus 3, that's negative 3. Again, you don't need to divide by the 1. Oh, dot and circle them. Sorry. Okay. Got ahead of myself. But it's a 1, so I don't need it, okay? 1 dot x equals negative 3. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't showing my work very well. Plus 3, 1 dot x equals 3. You don't need to divide if the dot number's a 1. If it's a 1, anything else you do. Okay, got that one out of the way. Okay, number 2. 5x to the second power plus 30x equals 0. So I'm thinking there's 2 answers, because I have a second power. Also got a first power, so it's going to be set boxes, but thank God there's not 4 terms. You're set, and you see there's only 2 terms. So that'd be GCF DOPS. Okay, those tend to be a lot quicker. Okay, so GCF, negative x GCF. Well, this one we're not going to do a negative because the 5 in the front's positive. Now, x, you are going to do x because you got x second here, x first here. So take the smaller power, and that's going to be the GCF, okay? All right, 5 and 30, the GCF is going to be 5, okay? Divide those both by 5. So we're going to put 5x to the first out here, wrap it in a parentheses, and then go up here. Just copy that up here, and then that means you're going to divide. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. 30 divided by 5 is 6. And those are both to the same power, so we don't put x here. Now, DOPS, remember, the x squared has to be there, and it's not, okay? That x is to the first power. We cannot do the DOPS, so we put equals 0. Get rid of the first powers, F1, F2. Because all the first powers do is convolute, is make it more confusing. So it's got to be the first power, though, which they are. So 5x could equal 0, or 1x plus 6 could equal 0. So I dot my x's, circle them, and I divide by 5, and x equals 0. Then I minus 6. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. And if the multiplier is a 1, we have our answer essentially. Okay, number 3. X to the second minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Okay? So there'd be 2 answers. So you got x second, x first. Okay? Okay, so it's again, you're going to have to go with the set boxes method. Okay? And we are set. Now count your terms. There are 3, GCFT. Negative x GCF. Negative, that's a positive, so don't do it. X, yep, nope. And then 1, 2, and 15 would just be 1, so we can disregard that. Okay, so I take positive 1 times negative 15. Okay, it doesn't say fail, so I'm going to assume that chart's going to work. Negative 15. Okay, now I got a negative, so that makes it a minus. Positive is add, negative is minus. To get to 2 negative, okay, 1 and 15, no. Remember, you're dividing into the 15. 15 divided by is how you do that. 15 divided by 2, decimal. After 2 comes 3. Okay, I'm going to put 3 and 5 down. And 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 being negative means 5's negative. And when we have a negative up there, the signs have got to be the opposite. Okay, now what is our A? Our a is 1x to the second. So when I write my parentheses out, it's pretty easy when it's 1 because I go 1x plus 3, 1x minus 5. Now 1 and 3, the GCF is just 1. I mean, you can look it up if you want to, but anytime 1's one of the numbers, one of the terms, it's going to stay the same. That's going to be 1. Okay, now I check up there, nothing going on, so I equal it to 0, F1, F2. Remember, if you pull out a GCF, you parenthesize it and this go down here, but I didn't have one. So 1x plus 3 equals 0, 1x minus 5 equals 0. So now I dot that, circle it. So I minus 3. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. I don't need to divide by 1. You can if you want, but it's not necessary. If it's a 1, any other number you have to. 0 plus 5 is 5. Okay, and that 1 gets deleted. So negative 3 and 5. Okay, number 4. 5x to the second power minus 17x plus 6 equals 0. Okay. Again, 2 answers. So x second, x to the first. So it's set boxes. I'm kind of being nice to you with the set here. They're all set. Okay. When I don't have a 0 over here, then it's kind of annoying. There's one story problem. There's that one story problem where it happens, but. Okay, so how many terms do we have? Count terms. We got 3. 1. Okay, so same thing as I did on the last problem. It's essentially the same exact process. Negative x GCF. Negative in front, no. X squared, x first, no x. 5, 17, and 6. What do we got going on there? That's 1. Okay. Well, then it's not worth my time. If it's a negative 1, it is. If it's a 1x, it is. X to the first, it is. But just a 1 now. So ABC. Doesn't say fail, so I'm going to do my table test and try to factor it, right? Rewrite it with parentheses. So positive 5 times positive 6 is positive 30. So I got a positive, so this will not be a minus. This will be an add. And I'm trying to add that to get to 17, which is negative. Okay? 1 and 30, no, that does not add to 17. Now remember, you're dividing the 30 by the numbers. 2 and 15. What's 2 plus 15? Aha, 17. 17 being negative means our 15 takes a negative, and that positive means they have to be the same, okay? You cannot have a positive up there and have the signs be different, okay? They could both be positive. Sometimes they could both be negative. That kind of depends on that, okay? But never opposite on if that's positive. My a is 5x to the second this time. So when I start my parentheses, I want to go with 5x, 5x, and then the minus 2 and the minus 15. Okay, now no. Again, the reason why this is wrong, why you have to go down here all the time, is because I got a problem like this. If you distribute 5x to 5x, that's 25. Well, I don't see 25 up there. Okay, so that's why it's important we get the GCF. Okay, so 5 and 2, the GCF comes out to 1. So that'll stay the same. And then 5 and 15, the GCF is going to be 5. Okay, you can divide those both by 5. And that becomes 1x minus 3. Okay, now if you think, okay, what's 5x times 1x? That'd be 5x to the second, which is up there. So F1, F2. There was no GCF, so I don't pull it down. Equals 0. So 5 times x minus 2 could equal 0, or 1 times x minus 3 could equal 0. So dot your variables, circle them. So I'm going to add 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. And then divide by the 5. You have to divide on this one because there's a 5 multiplied by x, not 1. 2 divided by 5 is 0.4. And over here, plus 3, plus 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. X is 3. Okay. Number 5, I forgot to write something. Please help me out. Write fail. Okay. All right, so there's 2 answers. And there's also an x to the first, so that's again the set boxes. So how many terms do you have? I wrote fail for a reason because there's 3 terms, but I still want you to set up how you would normally do 3 terms. Okay, negative x GCF. Again, negative, don't need it. X second, x first, and nothing. 380 and 7. And that's 1. Okay, now let's talk about why this fails, why I'd never find it. Because if you're going to ABC that, okay? Now, if you took the A times the C, 3 times 7, that's 21, dude. There's no way you're going to find 2 factors of 21 that are going to add to 80, okay? Because you start with 1 and 21. Well, already that's too low, okay? So I marked that as a failure, so I use my quadratic formula. Opposite of b, opposite of b, plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a over 2a. Okay, let's put up alongside there what a, b, and c are, so I don't have to look at that mess anymore. So a is 3, b is 80, and c is 7. Okay, opposite of b, you're going to make your 80 negative. If it's positive, then you have to make it negative, okay? And the b itself is just 80. And then you're going to have 4, and then a is 3. C is 7. And a is 3. So we got the negative 80, the plus minus. 2 times 3 we know is 6. And then get that square root out of there. So to get to the square root, we go second x squared. You got to hit second. Because see that in little yellow, I see the square root. That means I have to hit the shift button, the second button, to get to that operation. You need 2 parentheses, and you got 80. Please remember the second power, okay? I don't either go this 2 or just the x second key. And then subtraction button, 4, 3, 7, okay? 79.47. Okay, so I take negative 80 plus 79.47, click equals, then divide by 6. Negative 0.08. Kind of weird looking answer, but it's right. Okay. Well, now my plus is gone. Now I take negative 80 minus 79.47 and then divide by 6. Negative 26.57. Kind of weird looking answers, but they are accurate. Okay, number 6, I get a nice little break on number 6. There are 2 answers, okay? But I don't think I have any x's that are other than the 1 to the second power, okay? So I don't need to set boxes this. I can do the x squared equals x. Okay, write those things down, okay? Now, all you need to do now is dot your x squared, okay? Undo the minus 5 by adding 5. Now, if I'm trying to get to x squared, again, I'm going to show my work a little different. I'm going to put that as 90, and then I'm just going to glance over there, and okay, I have 3 times, so I need to divide by 3. And after I divide, I can come down here, because I just have x squared by itself over there. So 90 divided by 3 is 30. Now, find the square root of 30. You're going to need to use a calculator because 30 is not a perfect square. Okay, you can use your calculator all the time anyway. Okay, so I get to remember how to get to the square root. Second x squared. Okay, and 30. 5.47. Okay, now there's 2 answers because you can always have the positive and the negative when you find the square root of a number. Okay, number 7. Ooh, I see the parentheses page. Well, I don't need to look at this, okay? Okay, you're either blocked or you're not. You can either do the rainbows or you can't. Well, unfortunately here, there's a second power out there. That means blocked, okay? So I have to rewrite the equation with h to the second. Now, you want to circle your parentheses and just go h second. Now, before the parentheses, you have a 4. After the second power, then you get to your equal sign. You don't have any plus or minus. 36. Okay, what do I do then? Well, keep reading. You get h squared equals h squared by itself. Then we'll be able to find the square root of the number to get to h. But a lot of people stop there. No, you have to do your table because you can't forget about the x plus 6. Okay? So 1x plus 6 equals 1x plus 6 equals. Okay, dot that and circle it. So you're not going to add or subtract. Okay? You go straight to your division. And 36 divided by 4 is 9. Now, what number times itself by 9? I don't need to, I mean, you can use your calculator. You can square root 9 on your calculator just like you did on the last problem. But square root of 9 is 3, so I can find it kind of on my chart. But remember, a square root could equal the positive or the negative of what I get. So I dot and circle. I'm going to minus 6. So 1 dot x. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. You don't need to divide by 1. You have your answer. If it's a 1, it has to be a 1 to do that. Minus 6 minus 6. So negative 3 minus 6 is negative 9. Okay, looks like the same thing, but it's not blocked. So that's a totally different ball game. Okay, that's a nice problem because 4 times 1x is 4x, and 4 times 6 is 24. And then I don't have anything. I don't have a plus or minus after the parentheses. I just go equals 36. So just get that x by itself. Okay, you minus your 24. 36 minus 24 is 12. And then you divide the 12 by 4. You don't need to square root, though, because you don't have it to the second power. Because you have your answer. The x has no power. So once I divide, I have my answer. I don't need to do that extra step. That's all I have, just a positive 3. There's only one answer because your x isn't to any power. Okay, so that should only have one solution. Okay, and it'd be story problem time. Number 9, a projectile goes up into the air from a height of 10 feet with an initial velocity of 90 feet per second. After how many seconds does a projectile land on the ground, which is 0 feet? Okay. Okay, so you're figuring out the number of seconds, and you have feet to go with it. Identify the units. Seconds is x, times always x, and then the feet is y. So per feet per second, that's 90. All right, now what goes up comes down. There was that video I had you guys watch a few days ago where you're drawing straight lines. Yeah, because those go up forever. Okay, this would go up, come down. Okay, so at the beginning you have 10 feet. And at the end, you have 0 feet. Okay, get that drawn. Okay, so blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. Okay. Gravity. Even though that's not in the problem, that goes there. Okay. 90. And 10. Now, it's important you put the 0 feet. That has to go somewhere because that's important. That goes in for the y. 0 feet equals y. So that means you scribble out your y. Now you have to solve for x. Now, x has a power of 2, telling me, gee, there's 2 answers. It has 2 possible values. I've also got x to the first, so I have to do the set boxes because I can't combine the x's when they're to different powers like that. Okay, so you are set, and then it's 3 terms. So I go GCF, and then the big table. Okay, now here you need the negative because that number right there is negative. Okay, so you're going to need the negative. Put it here, and then here, here, here. If you're putting in the GCF, it goes outside then under all the lines. X you're not going to need because that 10 doesn't have X. Then I go to my calculator and I find the greatest common factor out of 16, 90, and 10, which ends up being 2. Negative 2. But I do it nonetheless. Okay. So, negative divided by negative is positive. It would be 8. X to the second stays. Okay, leave the x's alone because you're not putting an x under the line, so you don't mess with the x's. You write them as they are. 90 divided by negative 2 is negative 45. X. If it's to the first, don't put that first there anymore. Then positive 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. Okay, oh, it says fail, so to the quadratic formula. Opposite of b, opposite of b, plus or minus the square root, b squared minus 4ac over 2a over 2a. Remember, ABC is right here. It is not up here. You just divided it, so now you have a new ABC. So A is 8, B is negative 45, and C is negative 5. Okay, so the opposite of B, well, that would be 45. B squared, so that would be negative 45 to the second power. Minus 4, and then A would be 8. And C would be negative 5, okay? And A down here would be 8. Okay, first we multiply 2 by 8. That's 16. So we got this and this and this. Now we just got to get rid of the square root. Find what the value comes out of there. Second, get to the square root. Tap that key. You need 2 parentheses. And I go negative 45. Remember, it's got to be to the second power. That you can't ignore that 2 or it's screwed up. Okay, you can either hit this 2 or you can just tap the key under it and then second power just comes right up. Then I hit the subtraction key with a 4, with an 8, and a negative 5. I got 46.74. And just put that on top. And now I've simplified it enough where I can go home from there. So 45 plus 46.74. Remember to click equals before you just go divide by the 16. You have to do that, okay? You can't do all the operations at once. You got to take it one at a time. So 5.73. And now I switch the minus, the plus to a minus. Negative 0.10. So 5.73 seconds is my answer. Okay, our last problem. A lot of stuff. I drew a lot of stuff to kind of lead you. Okay, go to picture, nice picture and everything. And the equation's down there. Okay, I think it, because otherwise when you do this from scratch, it's kind of hard to understand. Okay, a yard, get that yard, that makes no sense. A flower bed. A flower bed is 30 feet by 25 feet, as you can see here. A rectangular uniform brick border is built around the walkway. Uniform means it's the same on every side, even though it doesn't look like it because I'm horrible at drawing. The new area is 1,000. And that's 116. Okay, I screwed that up. Okay, put too many ones. 116 square feet. How wide's the border? Okay, so we need to find how wide that X is. That's the end game. Okay, now they tell us the area. So I know the length times width equals area. So I have to find what the length times width is. So the length is 2x's with a plus 30, and the width is 2x's with a plus 25. Okay, now you got to multiply that out. So I start with 2x. I just drew two rainbows, so I write that 2x down twice. It's a tight fit here. And we're timesing it by the other 2x and by 25. Now that has been distributed. Now I got to do the same thing with 30. Same two things, 2x, 25. Remember, it's important you place first powers on your x's because there's always a possibility that you're going to have to add powers like up here. And if you don't have the ones there, it's easy to forget. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 4x to the second. 2 times 25 is 50, x to the first. 30 times 2 is 60. That would be x to the first as well. So I know those two go together. And 30 times 25 is 750. Okay, now simplify what you just got by combining like terms. So x squared, you got 4. 50 plus 60 is 110. And then 750. Okay, and that's your length times width. So we go put that down here. I know that looks really intimidating. Just trust the process, dudes and dudettes. Okay. So x squared has two answers. There's 2. And you have that x in there, not to the second. So that's set boxes. The problem on this one is you're not set. You have to see the 0 before you set. Right now you're not set. So you redraw your blanks with x squared, x, and numbers without x, and then equals 0. So x squared is pretty obvious, that's 4. X is pretty obvious, that's 110. Now, these two go together, but they can't be added because they're on different sides. So you're going to subtract them, but you got to subtract the right one, okay? Remember, I want the 0 right here, so that's the one I go after when subtract. Cross it out. And I take 750 minus 1116. I got negative 366. Okay, now I can see the three terms. GCF table. Negative, nope. X, nope. Okay, there better be a GCF there. So I go 4, comma 1, 1, 10, comma 3, 6, 6. Oh, I got 2. Okay. Now go divide all these by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, x to the second. 110 divided by 2 is 55, x. Negative 366 divided by 2 is negative 183. Okay, so I go A, B, C from there. Okay, doesn't say anything about failing, so 2 times negative 183 is negative 366. And that's a minus problem, and I need it to minus to plus 55. Okay. Well, obviously that doesn't do it. Remember, we're dividing into the 366. Nope. 2 and 183. Okay, that doesn't do it. Now go 3, 122, 3 and 122. Okay. Doesn't do it. That's a decimal. That's a decimal. 6 and 61. Let's take 61 minus 6 and see what happens, shall we? 55. Okay. So 55 is plus. Okay. Negative would mean their opposite, OPP. Okay. Now my A is 2x to the second, not 4. Okay, it's 2. Okay. I'm going to go quick here. So I got 2x minus 6, 2x plus 61. On your GCF, the GCF in these two is 2, so that becomes 1x minus 3. The GCF here is 1, so that will stay 2x plus 61. Okay, now we did have a GCF here, so it's important I pull that down, put equals 0, but I don't put an F label. Okay, F1 and F2 right there. Okay. So 1x minus 3 could equal 0, or 2x plus 61 could equal 0. So I dot the x's, okay. Plus 3, that's 3. And since the dot number's a 1, don't divide. Okay, well you can, but it's not worth it. Then I minus 61, and that's negative 61. And then divide by 2. Negative 61 divided by 2 is negative 30.5. Well, positive is always bigger than negative, so I want to go with 3. 3 feet.